Hey, I have it at 9 o'clock. Good morning, everyone. With this public hearing with a special meeting. At the end, we're here to discuss and only discuss 4 items: fiber optic loop communication system, NEWCOMB Point shoreline preservation, Fulton Beach road elevation and beach nourishment, and Ruby Island Street drainage and utilities. With that, Ms. Fouts, you want to start? We have to make an announcement here.
Thank you, Judge. Okay, today we're here for a public hearing for our applications that were proposed to submit for the Hurricane Harvey CDBG mitigation program. It's the competition program that we're currently looking at. And there are others, and we'll go over that. Thought so, but I don't have my glasses on, so maybe I'll push it the other way. Sorry. Should have brought my glasses up. First today, we are seeking to find out if anyone needs a Spanish interpreter. And so if there is anyone at this time, if they could indicate so.
It's good, so the interpreter can go back to work.
We do have forms that everyone filled out. I did check the forms. All indicated that they were Spanish speakers, except one indicated a Romanian speaker. We do not have a Romanian translator here at this time.
Kim,
but we will contact that person.
just a question, because this is on Zoom,
Yes, sir.
do we still have to provide a foreign language interpreter?
We do because of the federal requirements for public hearings.
So you said on Zoom you had a certain number of responses that were Spanish speakers?
We had those that signed up here at the courthouse,
Okay.
and there's a special form that's required that's provided by the federal government for what language do you speak, and everyone has filled that out. We did not have any Spanish speakers, and we did have one that indicated Romanian.
Okay, I just was, we're all new to Zoom, and so on public hearings, I didn't know whether we were required to have a Spanish speaker for the Zoom audience, not necessarily just for us.
This specific, I don't know the answer to that, but I do know that because this is a federal grant program, that's why we're required to have a translator.
Okay, thank you.
As well as, if I may note, all of the public notices that have gone in the newspapers, on our website, everything is interpreted in Spanish as well.
It adds to the cost.
And it does significantly add to the cost. Okay, first of all, we're going to talk a little bit about the program itself. HUD allocated approximately $4.3 million of CDBG-MIT funds to the state of Texas. There are 11 programs that they have announced, 3 of which are competition programs, and this is one of the competition programs that we're speaking about today. It was posted in the Federal Register in Section 84 on August 30th of last year. This first round of competition there's $1 billion available out of the $2.1 billion. And each of the applications can range from $3 million to $100 million. First, we want to talk a little bit about this is the mitigation program. The definition as provided by HUD and the GLO office is those activities that increase resilience to disasters and reduce or eliminate the long-term risk of loss of life, injury, damage to, and loss of property, and suffering and hardship by lessening the impact of future disasters. They also required that we talk a little bit about the range of activities that can be undertaken under these programs. There's flood control, drainage improvements, the buyout and acquisition program, various infrastructure improvements, infrastructure that's focused on green and natural infrastructure, public facilities, and also housing. The total proposed for Aransas County with all 4 projects is just over $80 million. The estimated amount that's proposed for meeting the national objective of low moderate income is $32.5 million. We also have a project that is under urgent need that is $47.8 million. We'll go over all of those individually. And also, we are not proposing any projects that create any displacement and or meet any of the anti-displacement policy. And also, there's no relocation plans associated with any of the projects that we're proposing. As I mentioned, each program has its own rules and the number of applications. There is a regional competition, applications that are multi-jurisdictional. We have one project that fits that category, which is the fiber optic loop, and a maximum of 3 could have been submitted. We also have regional applications that are single entity, which being Aransas County only. And we did develop 3 applications, which is the maximum. One is for Ruby Allen drainage and streets and utilities. We have NEWCOMB Point shoreline preservation. And we also have Fulton Beach Road elevation and beach nourishment. Our applications are due at the end of the month by October 28th. The first project, which is the regional competition, which is multi-entity for us, is the fiber optic loop communication system. We have approximately 150 miles with of fiber optic cable over 113-mile area. It also includes all the associated equipment. The purpose is to ensure connectivity and reliability, especially for our emergency management systems. And the idea is to link all of our critical facilities together locally. That includes the county facilities, city, the ISD, the navigation district, and the county airport. And altogether, we have 5 multi-jurisdictional partnerships. The fiber optic loop begins north of us in Victoria at the Victoria Airport and runs in a southerly direction through Refugio County, through Aransas County, and you can see where some of the looping system is there in Aransas County with those 2 sections that are circles. Then it goes south through San Pat and then finally to the bridge in Nueces County. The project falls under urgent need, as I indicated, not under the low mod income criteria. There are 551,000 beneficiaries in 5 counties. The total project is $47.8 million. We've already gone through the matching funds. I do want to note, as indicated in the last meeting, that Nueces County is providing a financial contribution. They are not an applicant, but they do have benefits and beneficiaries, but they are not an applicant as part of this grant application.
Can I interrupt you for a second?
Yes, ma'am.
I think I remember from a few weeks ago, our share was 288,000. Looks like it's gone up to 313. So are we reformulating the numbers? Or?
We are, in the last presentation, and just for clarification, I appreciate you bringing that up. It used to be 288. Now it's noted as 313 because the Nueces County is a separate contribution and is not part of the grant. It has a net 0 impact, financial impact on the county, but we do need to represent this in the way that it's officially being applied for. So we took the 288 and added the 25,000, but you're still getting a $25,000 contribution from Nueces County via a separate memorandum of understanding that you approved at the last meeting.
So our share was 288. It went up to 313, but it goes back down to 288 when we get the 25 back from Nueces County.
Yes, ma'am. One of the things that's important in the application is to talk about how is this included in our existing plans. It is in our hazard mitigation plan and has been since the plan's inception. It's in the GLO Harvey Regional Economic Development Plan initiative that is underway, that we're a participating county. And also it's under the Texas Coastal Resiliency Master Plan that GLO develops. The mitigation risk, it addresses several different mitigations: hurricanes, tropical storms, severe coastal flooding, and also riverine flooding. This is somewhat of a two-part project. Phase 1 is funded under the CDBG-MIT program, and it had a large ditch that had been redirected and enlarged and created an improved channel that included some upgrades to drainage structures at the road crossings. What this does is builds off of that original program. It is a separate project, but it will decrease flooding during extreme rain events. It improves access for emergency responses, and it also addresses health and safety issues associated with sanitary sewer system overflows and failures. The local plan inclusion for Ruby Allen is the HMGP plan as well as the master drainage plan. Some of the improvements are the stormwater system. There's a 24-inch and 60-inch pipe and a concrete slope. There's pavement and curbing, 10-inch water line and hydrants. There's lift stations as well as various sewer lines throughout the project, as well as a line that goes to the wastewater treatment plant. The Ruby Allen project is $21 million, and the match is $215,000 approximately.
I think you said a few weeks ago we're going to get that from a drainage bond fund we already maintain.
Yes. The primary improvements are bound by West Corpus Christi Street, 12th Street, San Antonio, and Hardy Street. And of course, there's also the force main that goes to the wastewater treatment plant. Here's another overall look at the scope of the project in the geographic area.
I can't read that. My eyes are too bad. Can you just tell us the basic cross streets are between 35,
all the
business and bypass, and then the, 12th and?
Yes, it goes up.
Corpus Christi.
David,
Corpus Christi.
talk about the streets.
More or less between Corpus Christi and 12th Street, kind of in the general area between 35, bypass, and business? Yes. Okay.
For beneficiaries, there's 5,350 beneficiaries. Of those, 3,535 are LMI beneficiaries.
LMI.
Low mod income.
Thank you.
And that combined low mod income represents 66.07%. The threshold is 51% or more.
Meaning we're not eligible to apply unless we can show that at least 51% of the people in the affected area have low to moderate income by HUD standards.
We are eligible to apply regardless, but you won't get the points, so you won't be competitive. Okay. Yes, ma'am. Next is NEWCOMB Point Shoreline Preservation. That's a living shoreline system. The shoreline and wetland has been eroding several hundred feet since 1854. That erosion has accelerated to 3 to 9 feet per year in the last 10 years. So the goal of this program and project is to stabilize the shoreline using breakwaters to protect upland habitat while creating new marine habitat. and it affects approximately 1,000 acres. Total project cost is $6.3 million with a match of approximately $63,000.
I think at the last meeting, we had asked the question, who owned NEWCOMB Point? Who owns NEWCOMB Point? Is that Parks and Wildlife?
Parks and Wildlife, Texas Parks and Wildlife.
And on the matching funds, you're still looking at maybe a Go Mesa contribution, but you're not sure yet where we'll get the money.
Right. These two projects, NEWCOMB Point and Fulton Beach Road, are the ones that are still.
Is Parks and Wildlife planning on assisting us in any way?
Cooperating, but I'm not aware of what other activities. The goal is for stabilization with emergent rock structures approximately in a 3-acre area and to create a new marine habitat. It's to dissipate wave energy, and we would be using materials that are conducive to oyster bed creation, and that involves 6,000 linear feet. This is in several local plans, our hazard mitigation plan, but also regionally we have the Aransas County Coastal Resiliency Initiative, as well as the Texas Coastal Resiliency Master Plan that's developed and approved by the General Land Office.
And we're expecting this to look roughly like what's been proposed for, say, Lamar Beach Road or Fulton Beach Road? In other words, some kind of living shoreline plus offshore breakwaters.
Yes.
Kim, where you see the yellow line on there, I mean, originally, I think that was the proposed, but it's my understanding now, it's only on the tip of the point.
It'll be further. It doesn't quite go as far as, it doesn't go in front of, it terminates before you get to private property.
Okay.
So in that picture on the left, we're keeping it
It'll
on
be
the bottom right less so.
More, correct.
Yeah, probably.
We'll adjust the
maybe
map
a third,
some.
maybe a third of that yellow line on the left from the west to the east.
That'll be part of the adjustment that we make
Now,
for the final.
Is all of the mitigation area on the south side?
Yes.
Okay, I noticed there's a little swerve around, but is that just to protect the point itself?
Yes.
Okay, well, if Commissioner Castelline is correct, and I'm sure he is, if you move that up, so how does that affect the overall cost in distance?
It does not affect cost. The engineers have done this is a depiction, but the cost estimate is exact based on the linear footage and
In other words,
proposed improvements.
the cost that we've heard here pertains to the shorter yellow line, and that picture is just sort of an old picture with a
Yes.
longer line. Okay.
Yes. This is a low mod income project and has beneficiaries. The total beneficiaries are 648. 384 fit into the LMI category for beneficiaries. And overall, the LMI rate for this project is 59.34%.
Okay. If there's no public land there, where do they get the LMI? Is that, I mean, is
area
that
It has
global?
a larger protection area.
Okay. Okay, I'm not questioning it. I just was wondering.
Oh, absolutely.
So you're basically scooping in some Holiday Beach residents or maybe also Lamar?
It's Holiday Beach.
Holiday Beach, okay.
I think that the thought is that if that point erodes away next, you will have erosion move in on Holiday Beach.
And is that, I don't actually know off the top of my head how many people are in Holiday Beach. Is that 650 roughly all of Holiday Beach, or did you take a chunk?
I do not know the answer to that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it wouldn't be all of Holiday Beach, because if they took all of Holiday Beach, a lot of
gotta
it
be
out
more
there
than-
is.
Yeah,
above
so it's probably the southern half or something, the southern chunk.
And one quick question, where you mentioned 384 beneficiaries, is that per parcel of property or is that actual head count?
That's head count.
Is it? Okay.
Kim, have y'all looked into the match on this, trying to get something from coastal north there? There's property that's owned by coastal bend bays and estuaries. So that might be a source of revenue for the match.
Okay, we'll
Also-
definitely check. I don't believe that we have so far.
Between there and Holiday Beach, they recently acquired a bunch of that property.
The fourth project is the Fulton Beach Road elevation and beach nourishment. It's 1 mile of living breakwater reef. It also includes raising the road by 1 foot, drainage improvements, and there's also a cement sidewalk. Of course, the objective is to dissipate the wave energy and its impacts. It addresses flooding and eroding on the shoreline, roadway and protects roadway and the private structures. It also helps protect some of the utilities in the area. And this
You said
project
it's a
is,
1 mile cost.
yes, 1 mile
Do you
project.
have a depiction of where that mile is?
We do. I'll pull up that map.
Wouldn't it be from the Fulton city limits north?
It is. It's from Beechwood to where the Fulton city limits ends and where the county.
Basically Contiki.
I think it stops actually before Kontiki and in that little subdivision that's a gated subdivision. You can see where the little pond or whatever, enclosed bay is. And it's just beyond that Kontiki starts.
Yeah, it doesn't go anywhere where they already have existing bulkheading or
No,
shoreline.
it terminates prior to that.
Now, is this similar to what we had the public hearings on before as far as the mitigation?
Yes. This,
But the
Similar project.
it is not for the area
Let
that
me
was
rephrase
for
my
a
question.
different project. Yeah,
Now,
this
let
is
me
a different
rephrase my
section.
question. This is the same type of project that we were talking about where there was the public outcry.
It is the same type of project. There is not, if it gets funded, it'll have to go through public feedback and interaction with the engineers about what is an eligible solution. So
So in
that would be a
on
next
this
step.
particular project, since it hasn't, my assumption is it hasn't been engineered because we are just applying, so there will be opportunities, something different than what was.
Yes, that's correct. We did have to come up with some cost estimates. That is a requirement of the grant in order to be able to apply. But exact design, what's eligible and that type of thing, that will go through its own process if it's actually approved.
We're gonna raise, if we're approved, we're gonna raise Fulton Beach Road by a foot from that point or all the way.
It's my understanding all the way, but I'd have to get John Strothman to verify that.
By all the way, you mean all the way down to cover the southern half of the previous Fulton Beach
No,
Road?
we are
just
only
that 1
talking
mile.
about this section.
Just that 1 mile.
Yes. It will not touch any other section.
At the
So
meeting,
there'll be an up of a foot there?
That's my understanding, yes.
Okay.
at our meeting a week ago, I asked a similar question about the Little Bay engineering benefit cost analysis that was imminent. We'll presumably, if this one is awarded, have to do one of those for this project too, as well as NEWCOMB.
You know, I'm not sure that it will, and the reason why for the application, they have different criteria. In this particular rules that have been set up, in order to apply, you don't have to do a cost benefit analysis. It's unless it's over $100 million project, and of course ours don't get anywhere near that. The consultant, I think, may be on the line and could answer is if awarded, does it have to go through a BCA? And I'm not really sure.
We did do one of those on the southern half, and it was about the same size of project, wasn't it?
Yes, ma'am, but that was a different program. That was the Community Development Disaster Recovery Program, which had different rules that were set up by HUD.
I ask not because I'm such a fan of benefit cost analysis as done by HUD or the GLO, but because I'm trying to get to what's the nature of the public input that's going to be allowed. And the problem I saw on the southern half of Fulton Beach Road was that by the time the public was fully dialed into the process, the BCA was complete and it seemed to be written in stone. I mean, the answer to all questions was, this is the only thing that passed the BCA, therefore nothing can ever be altered again that you're worried about. And I'm trying to find out how are we going to avoid that this time?
Sure. Well, what I would suggest, and this is completely in your purview, if you have specific,
Looks like we got input from our experts.
Yeah, Kim, this is William. Yeah, this is different money, different set of rules. FEMA has a different process. This process is not as rigid. That's the answer to the question.
So the
I would also
public
add-
can be expected to have some input before it's too late.
What I would also add, that if you have, if awarded, then I would just suggest that you'll give us specific guidance about what kind of public input you would like to have. Yes, it is, I mean, so if there's specific, if we want to do something early on, let's have some discussion early on and have the engineer present so they can hear what the concerns are and try to qualify the project engineering wise to meet some of those concerns.
I think since the previous one on Fulton Beach Road, you're going to have people more active because, I mean, it was out there on the South Fulton Beach Road one that was something going on, but just like anybody else on a lot of these grants, you're basically applying for every one that comes up, and most of the time you don't get them. So I kind of feel like the Fulton Beach Road one, probably us or them, either one originally thought it was a waste of their time because they didn't think we'd really get it.
It kind of flew under the radar.
Now they see the possibilities there, so I think you'll have more.
Yeah, and I think, we have a better understanding now about when it might be helpful to have public input. We were following the rules that were set up, but that doesn't mean that you can't have extra input or earlier input. That to be incorporated into the considerations on the design.
But it's also possible that the people on the northern end of Fulton Beach Road have a different view of it, but I do ask fervently for early and increased input, and certainly not just the federal minimum.
Absolutely. And then just going back a little bit, I think I jumped past this item in order to get to the map, but this is included in the Texas Coastal Resiliency Master Plan developed by GLO. It is on our hazard mitigation plan as well as our coastal resiliency initiative. Mitigation risks are similar to the other projects that we've described. One thing I do want to note, we've already, of course, all of these project descriptions are on the internet and in the judge's office. We've already received some feedback that we need some clarifying language regarding this particular project and the phraseology that we have about evacuation route. Fulton Beach Road is not the evacuation route. The language that was in there was referencing Business 35, and we need to make a clarification. Fulton Beach Road feeds into 35, but we need some clarifying language, and we will do so on
I
that.
think the question was also, and that reminds me that I agreed to read a statement into the record, and now's not the time, but when you're done, I would like to. But it may be the same comment you got because that issue came up. I think there was Kathy Kane, and she was concerned about seeming to call Fulton Beach Road an evacuation route, but also there was a statement that something about the 15,000.
Yes, that refers to the Business 35. It just wasn't written clearly, and we do need to make those changes. And that's what this process is about. So we can get it right and include everything that we need to. For beneficiaries, there's 3,070 beneficiaries.
To go back to that for a moment, why would we be talking about the evacuation route or the traffic on 35? What's the relevance to the Fulton Beach Road project?
Because it feeds in, and so you just having a clear passage in order to get to 35 from various routes, depending on flooding and that type of thing. So you have to look at the project holistically and how it affects everything and what benefits there are mitigation wise. So in order to justify the project, you have to look at it as a whole.
How many homes are along this 1 mile stretch? We're talking about a few dozen?
It depends on if they have to get on the road in order to get out, depending on where the flooding is.
I just mean maximum a few dozen people live along that mile of road, and that's the number of people that would have trouble with getting to a hurricane evacuation route.
It depends. They could have flooding between them and Highway 35. Depending on the road
But
conditions.
them is a few dozen people.
So actually 3,000 people are in that area that they have to take, loop around and get to Highway 35.
Via Fulton Beach Road, that mile stretch?
They might,
That doesn't sound very accurate.
Doesn't sound right to me either.
3,000 just.
We'll look-
No,
we'll look
no
at
way,
the
not even
description.
close. A few dozen is the most you're really going to be able to make a case for.
Well, a few dozen houses maybe.
Right.
Be more.
Well, if you if you count Key Allegro, which is kind of out of it, if it's cut off to the south, you may have to go that way. But if it's cut off to the south, then you're way over Fulton Beach Road now anyway.
Yeah, nobody in Key Allegro uses the northern mile of Fulton to escape anything.
Well, they may at the time, but that does seem like a large number.
Those that are categorized in that that number are 1,659 that are in the LMI, and that particular area has a 54.04%.
See that.
We have on all of our public notices on the website and everywhere in the judge's office as well. We're receiving citizen comments at that particular email address. Also, there's the long-term recovery number to call as well. Written and email and verbal comments are accepted. And I have that posted out at the front table, and of course, again, it's on the internet as well. So this is a public hearing. So at this time, we've asked everyone to sign in officially. We have to have that for the public record for the citizen comments.
Can I just ask a few questions? These cost estimates, how detailed are they, and are, you know, how do we come up with these numbers?
Through our consultant Tetra Tech, they have hired an engineer to prepare these estimates, and they take all of the information based on the project description and supplementary information that's submitted in order to come up with those estimates.
Contracts will be, say, I don't know what the timing on this is. It'll be, when would we know about it, whether we're awarded or not?
That's going to be up to GLO. They have a heavy workload because they are just now, the deadline is this, but they're also still working on their other programs with the DR programs. It's probably going to be a few months, maybe 3 to 5 months, but that's a guess.
And, you know, the timeliness on some of these construction projects will be a big factor in there as to when these will be started in terms of the cost. I mean, these things don't go down in value as you go forward.
Right.
As far as the GLO, the problem, if they've got a problem of handling it on a timely basis, on this $4.2 billion, didn't they take $400 million right off the top of it for administration?
Yes, it did.
So it seems to me like they could hire enough people to handle it on a timely basis. I'm not complaining about it, but I just have a little problem with that. But what happens if we're approved for one of these? Are we going to be stuck with these estimates?
William, do you want to answer that?
You have an answer to that?
Yes.
William?
The grant application requires what they call a Table 2, which is a document that is signed and sealed by an engineer. So that is the budget going into the grant. And that is the budget we will try to live with. If we need to dial it back, we can always value engineer and reduce the costs. But in terms of timing, Kim is right. It'll probably be, I would guess, 3 to 5 months before we'd even hear about the award. By the time we then work through the rest of the process, it'll be probably 2022 before we have to come up with any match requirements. And that's what we've been telling our partners that are involved in this estimate with us.
William, are there any contingencies in any of these projects?
Well, we don't label
Know how
them,
you like contingency?
but yes, there are some factors, inflation factors that we've inserted into some of the numbers, yes.
You think that the awarding of this may take 6 months? Is that what we're talking about? And before we would even start on any of these projects, it would be, did you mention 2022?
That's our guess. Yes, sir.
Okay. That's all.
I do want to note that there is scoring for this. We have run the scoring for the various projects. It is by no mistake that we have just submitted one joint project because the goal, the stated goal by GLO is to approve one project per community. So we were recommending just that one since it was a major priority and we didn't want anything else competing against it. So that one project stands alone. The fiber optic, yes, sir. The other stated goal would be to approve one single entity project as well. The way that the scoring is right now, based on the three projects, Ruby Allen, Fulton Beach Road, and the number one rated project, scored project is Ruby Allen.
Right.
Kim, can you elaborate on the fiber loop? Is there a possibility or will the public be able to hook into it? Is there some time frame for that or possibility and something about expected benefits?
William is working on the feasibility study that was awarded through the CDBG-DR program, so I'm going to let him answer that question because he's most knowledgeable.
Thank you, Kim. Commissioner, there is a fiber optic loop study, an RFQ that is going to be awarded. We are working on getting that award in front of you by the end of the month. And our goal, our hope is that this loop, if built, would be opened up to the private sector and the citizens would benefit from it. Businesses would benefit from it because we would be able to let private sector carriers lease strands of fiber, and then we would have other dedicated strands of fiber for our own internal use. So we're going to size the network in a way that it would have benefit to the private sector and therefore be able to facilitate services to the public. That's our hope.
In looking at the map a while ago, William, do we already have committed easements?
Commissioner, we are not going to go outside the public right of way. The entire system will be within the public's right of way where there are already utilities. And then, of course, to each one of the county and city facilities, we will take care of those connections.
Because the reason I'm going to ask Colin to put that map back up. It looks like we're going across a ranch. And I don't know of any public right of way that goes across there except maybe a transmission line. Let's look that up and see.
It doesn't stay on 35. It cuts across Tatton Ranch.
See how it comes across there?
Doesn't that just go up to, oh, that's not 239, is it? Is it 239?
Is that 239 all the way up?
Rights of way.
Okay.
And then it goes to 71.
So the Refugio County, that edge there will keep us on public roadway. Okay.
So
All right, that answered that. Thank you.
Are we the only county that is going to, or that it includes running to our government entities like us and the school, and the rest of them, it's just passing through and they'll have the ability to tap onto it if they.
Looks like we get the loops and everybody else just gets it straight through.
If I could,
Since it doesn't go.
I can go through this. If you start looking at the north for Victoria County, they already have a loop in that area, but parts of it are disconnected. So this project will complete their ring, and it terminates at their airport, which was their request. So it will go to their airport. As far as Refugio is concerned, you'll see there's two takeoff points where they said, okay, we would like to connect to certain public facilities at this point, and they identified those points. In Aransas County, Colin worked with our group to connect up what we felt were important. And in San Patricio County, the way this route runs, there's going to be a way to connect into a tower system that will help their sheriff's operations. So those are the basic points county by county. And Colin may have additional details, but that's my understanding of what we have.
Do we have a more detailed map than the one we're seeing up there now?
Yes, we do.
Yes, but it's a huge file. But we certainly make it available. It's called a KMZ file, and it has a lot more detail. And then when we get the fiber optic study done, that will have even further level of detail.
Well, can we get that maybe in some sections by county or something, so we don't have such a voluminous thing? We're back to looking at little bitty tiny dots again.
Just the close-up of
Close
our
up of
peninsula, in other words.
Victoria County and Refugio County, Aransas County, and Sampat County, and so forth with the connections there.
Well, this map was submitted for illustration purposes so that people could understand the project.
I understand that.
But Colin has the latest level of detail maps that we have, and those are huge, huge files. And once we turn it over to the consultant for the fiber optic loop study, they will do additional maps and additional details, which we don't have at this point.
Colin, can you chop pieces out of your file so that we have a smaller file that's close-up inserts? Okay.
Colin, you have the ability to print it off. I know you probably don't have a big enough printer, but I think maybe David Reed.
Road Bridge would, yeah. Okay.
No, we're talking about for later. If you can make inset pieces of, close-ups of areas of special interest, then it won't be such a huge file.
Kim, one other question. You said the highest rated project that's Ruby Island.
Yes, sir.
If we get any of these grants, that would probably be the one that's most likely.
Yes, because of the scoring.
And on a regional basis, the fiber optic and the loan. Two different.
Yes, so
All right.
the highest chance, the projects that have the highest chance of getting funded are the Ruby Allen and then the fiber optic.
I remember that you said we were doing 3 in the second category. Did you say that only one was, they were definitely going to choose one, or it's just that it's most likely that we wouldn't be lucky enough to get more than one?
It's likely that they will run out of funding. So we're hopeful that we'll get one of the 3, but it is certainly not guaranteed.
Even the one, in other words, the chances of getting 2 out of the 3 or 3 out of the 3 are pretty much nil. And the one you think most likely is Ruby Allen.
Yes, okay. Based on the scoring.
And the lift stations that are included in the Ruby Allen project will actually give locations for future sewer expansion in an area that
Really
we
needs it.
haven't been able to expand in. Yeah, it wouldn't be included in the grant, but they would be there for future tie-ins and would be a big benefit to that area.
Was there any thought given to the redirection of Ruby Island? Taking a lot of the water flow off, and I know some of it heads towards Little Bay now. Redirecting that is another potential.
It doesn't go toward Little Bay.
In the CDBG-DR grant, we're taking some of that water out of Ruby Allen. In fact, most of that water out of Ruby Allen into Trader Street, which will tie into the bay around 12th Street, I think. So yeah, we're
Away from
water.
Little
Now,
Bay.
this is not going. None of this is going to Little.
I think the commissioner's thinking about kind of the headwaters of Ruby Allen where there's a spot where you kind of have a decision which way it goes. Taking some of the stuff north of there that goes to Little Bay, diverting it back.
We didn't get into that specifics, but we could going forward. And when we do drainage work in that area, if something's going one way, we probably can take it through a different route if we have more capacity to do so.
Fair enough. Thank you.
So, David, are we looking at a road crossing? Are we looking at Market, crossing Market, or is it going to everything be south of Market?
This will all be south of Market. It will all be south of Corpus Christi.
And will that also, if we put the lift stations in that area, will that help us with our CDBG, what we've been doing up in the donut hole? And
I would think so.
Do what?
There'll be lift stations basically halfway between the bypass and Business 35, which not included in this grant, would be available for future sewer extensions between there and the bypass back toward West Area.
How many lift stations did you see on there?
This
Two.
grant is putting 2. There actually were 3, but we have another grant that's going to put a lift station on 8th Street that was originally in there, but they missed that there was already another grant that were approved on that was putting that lift station.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, in the interest of time, I only have 2 people signed up. I guess and Carrie has the list of
What's
everybody else.
The third that I need to read in.
Pardon?
The third comment that I need to read in.
You want to make that now?
Sure, if that's
Okay.
okay. This is from Catherine L. Kane. She's at 109 Boardwalk, Rockport. She's out of state and asked me to read this statement for her. She said she wanted to first speak to the Fulton Beach Road Elevation and Beach Nourishment Project, which is for the northern section of the Fulton Beach Road. I've read the packet quote. I've read the package provided on the webpage. There are several statements which are very concerning to me. The third paragraph states that 14,360 cars travel this road every day. That's 10 cars every minute of the day. That's just not true. This is a small scenic byway that is mostly used by residents along the Fulton Beach Road, fishermen, tourists hoping to catch a great photo of dolphins and birds, walkers, runners, cyclists, and golf carts. As someone who walks this road, I can testify that we don't get that kind of traffic. Third paragraph also states that this is the only evacuation route for businesses and properties on the Fulton Beach Road. In most cases, Highway 35 is available as a primary route. It's not being affected by this restructuring. For Hurricane Harvey, I believe residents took alternate routes to leave the county. Given to such obvious mistakes, I have to question the validity of this information. I also question the type of construction that is proposed. It sounds like this is very similar to the project that the county abandoned after several citizens voiced their concerns on the southern side of Fulton Beach Road. If this grant application ties us to the breakwaters as designed for the southern end of Fulton Beach Road, I am against it. Fulton Beach Road is used by fishermen who fish the shores to put supper on their family tables, creating marshland will impede wade fishers and potentially create a trap for debris and garbage. This is a scenic road. It's not a major thoroughfare or an evacuation route. It's a meandering trail that hugs the shoreline. Mitigation for this road should honor that history and preserve it. Please bring options to the citizens which preserve the uniqueness of Aransas County. With the time I have left, I'd like to touch on NEWCOMB Point shoreline preservation. It's also a breakwater solution. I'm opposed to this solution as the only one presented to us. At a meeting, the navigation district offered several other solutions. One brought the beach sand back to the shoreline and interlocking the concrete mat process. Please go back to the drawing board and find solutions that work for our county and not just the flavor of the month offered by one engineering firm. Thank you for your time this morning.
Right. That being said, Ms. Russo, would you like to make a statement?
Thank you, Judge. Pat Russo, 187 Heron Oaks in Rockport, Commissioner for Precinct 3 elect. And I want to thank you very much for this public hearing today. I am very favorably impressed by the quality of the questions y'all have raised and additional information that's been given, because I've been sitting in this courtroom for the last 7 or 8 months listening to these projects, and I think I learned quite a bit today. That's a good thing. My question, and I think Kim addressed it but didn't answer it, and I would like the answer in the future, is how are the LMI percentages determined and who determines these figures? We've heard that maybe the number of cars is not appropriate for what the actuality is, but I'm also concerned about the amount of space that's being included perhaps to get a desired percentage. So in the future, I would like if Kim or William could bring information about how the LMI percentages are determined and who has determined those figures. Thanks very much.
Thank you. And I don't know if it's appropriate right now, but Tetra Tech is here. Would you like to come up and say anything now? Or on Zoom, I mean. If
Hi,
not, we'll go on to, go ahead, Gina.
this is Gina
Mute
Bank.
button.
Tech. I was being respectful and on mute. With regard to low moderate income calculations, these are HUD, that is U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, defined as ultimately the CDBG-MIT funding comes through HUD down to GLO and down to the county. In calculating the beneficiaries, there's a very stringent set of rules about that. And it is done by census tract. The requirement is that if there is a census tract that is impacted by a project or benefits from a project, the entire census tract is included. In that case, in the case of these projects, we have followed that methodology, and the calculation of low moderate income associated with those census tracts are provided by HUD. So this is data that is available on the web. You got to drill down to get it, but it is available on the web. And so we are following HUD guidelines and rules pertaining to how to reflect beneficiaries of projects. Hope that helps.
Gina, this is Commissioner Cheney. Could you forward us that link so that not only in this project, but future projects, we can kind of get an idea of what we're looking at before we even start the project?
Oh, certainly, no problem. HUD has an extensive exchange with information, and there's census information that we can provide.
Okay.
For this project, can we get a map of which census tracts were considered affected enough in one part of them such that the whole census tract got pulled in to the analysis?
They
I mean,
are,
for instance, in Holiday Beach, I don't know whether that's one census tract or 1 out of 10.
the
And on along Fulton Beach Road, it sounds like if the Fulton Beach Road was affected and the houses directly on Fulton Beach Road was affected, we pulled in maybe the whole area between Fulton Beach Road and including 35 because the census tracts are so large.
the
Does that sound
maps,
right?
the maps provided in the presentation do reflect the census tracts as I've laid out any census tract affected by the project. And those census tracts in those maps, they're on the website, and Kim did reflect them in the presentation. Those are the census tracts that are affected, and the population counts that she provided were HUD, was from HUD data.
I'm looking at my the document that was on the website, and I don't see any census tract maps. That may just be something I need to get separately from you.
Wendy, we might have those in the auditor's office.
They are there,
Use
for
those on-
example.
But I can more easily get them from a third party than from my own county.
On the website,
Which can.
the maps. And there's also in the project descriptions, there's some breakdown. So for instance, in one of them, that there's 3 different census tracts. One of the projects, I can't remember which, I think it's Ruby Allen. And it breaks down all 3 census tracts and what the blend is. I don't have that link. I didn't find it in the link that you guys sent me to on the county website, but it's an easy answer. If I just need to know, will you give it to me without my filing a Public Information Act request? It's on the website, but yes, that's.
I need you to tell me where it is on the website. I couldn't find it.
I'll look it up right now. I have the packages.
Thank you.
Yeah.
They are available
Right,
in scrolling down in the project descriptions. They are at the end of each project description. You should have a location map and a beneficiary map.
I'm sorry, I'm not seeing it. Maybe I'm looking at the wrong document, but it's the only one I found.
There were.
Okay,
We'll do it later. It doesn't have to be right now.
William?
Yeah, there are 4 project descriptions, and what Gina's saying is that the data is referenced via a link at each end of each description, but we don't have a problem emailing Judge the link.
I think I'm wrong. I'm seeing it now. I'm seeing a map that's got a big pink area. It covers practically all of Pocono Bay. I think I just didn't realize that's what this was.
Got that figured out. Thank you. Mr. Jackson?
Those descriptions.
My name is John Jackson, 312 Olympic Drive, Rockport. I'm here to speak as a citizen, as a member of the EDC Board of Directors in support of the fiber optic group. In today's internet world, this will provide us and our neighbors in the coastal bend a competitive advantage with other parts of the state, all of which will benefit not only our health and safety and preparedness in times of disaster, but will also give us differentiation in attracting economic growth and expanding our rooftops and businesses here in Aransas County, especially those considering moving here in the migration from the big cities. This is just another one of those no-brainer opportunities which would pay dividends to all of us in our continued recovery for generations. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Mr. Hutt.
Jeff Hutt, 1306 8th Street, Lamar. Sorry, in my statement here. I'd like to first address the fiber optic loop. I have a hard time hearing that I'm going to have to pay for something for my tax dollars, then only to have to pay for it again to use it once y'all lease it out to a third-party provider. That seems to me something that like Samuel P. Chase would come up with, or Albert Spears. This is what I wanted to ask though, Mike. What I want to ask is, it's in reference to last week. Will we lose 10 million in insurance and grant money if we vote no in the
Sir,
November, like the vote
We're only
gets back?
talking about what is on the public hearing.
Yes, sir. I wanted to speak and citizens be heard, but it just wasn't
We don't
passed
have
on
that
to
on
you.
the
Not a
public
public
hearing.
hearing.
Okay. Can I find an answer on this though? To our question last week?
Apparently not.
We can't talk about something that's not on the,
Okay,
I'll get it to you though. All right?
thank you.
Does anyone else like to speak? Any questions at all?
I would like to, Sheriff, would you like to address the need for the fiber optic loop? I know that you were the area that was most at risk there.
You'll have to come up. Yep, there you go.
Didn't think you were going to get away, did you?
I wish we could get you to sit closer to the mic.
Came here to mind my own business. In its inception, it was originally, I think, looked at to go within the county and looking to see what the definitive route was going to be, held out and withheld from any comments, Commissioner. But when it grew into a regional deal and the opportunity to tie the communication networks of 5 counties together, the benefit really grew for us. It within the county right now would provide us a primary route, and we would use our microwave links as a secondary route to connect the existing tower. We have 2, there's funding underway and a study being done to create a 3rd tower within the county by the Emergency Corps. So you would have, at the very least, a very stable network for the 3 towers within the county. But tying it with the others, it would take I can't imagine the event that would isolate any area in there to where you couldn't communicate north or south outside of any kind of a major fire or hurricane or anything else that you couldn't reach if you're real Victoria and elsewhere. Like many people in this room, I was here that morning when we walked out, and it's a very isolating feeling when you walk out. There's no phone, there's no internet, there's no radio communications. Our tower was in the parking lot of the driveway. It's 2 days later, even with the scrambling of portable towers brought in at 50 foot, we were incredibly restricted in our ability to communicate. 9/11 brought this to the attention of the entire nation about trying to have a communication network among first responders that was not proprietary, that was P25, and we worked hard since then to get to where we were at. After the hurricane, we established a network within the county of dual band radios for that purpose. This is really kind of the ultimate link, I think, to something I never envisioned at the time of the hurricane, to create a fiber network that would allow us to tie the counties together outside of any, not just here, but if it hits north or south and they get isolated, well, then they would have the same opportunity to reach out. And they, if I lose a tower out of the 3 here, you know, when the 3rd one's built, I'm still going to be able to communicate north and south with this endeavor.
So you think that this fiber optic is definitely necessary for saving of lives and property and the ability to communicate in another such situation?
Oh, absolutely. But it's nothing that I ever, you know, 3 years ago when we walked out after Harvey, this is not something that I would have put on a list. And so I never envisioned something like this. To me, it'd be the cat's meow to wrapping up a incredible backbone for communication first responders, not just in the county, but north and south of us both.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you. Anyone else? Well, if not, I'd entertain a motion. Oh, okay, of course.
Do we,
Now we're gonna go to the regular meeting.
I was gonna say, we have to have,
Yeah.
stop the public hearing and start
Let me
a
get to
special
that.
meeting.
All right, discuss, approve, disapprove donation of 650 gallons of bleach to Hands of Hope, who will transport the bleach to Louisiana to assist in their cleanup efforts. This bleach was donated to us by Formosa Plastic, and we got more than we can use. We got, I think, 1,400 gallons. Is that right? Yeah. Anyway, do I have a
Move to
motion?
approve.
Motion made, second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Now, how about that other motion?
Motion to adjourn, Judge.
Motion made,
Second.
second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Thank you very much for coming. Have a great day.